Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I just got these cattle done eating their breakfast. We had a lot of wind yesterday. There was supposed to be well, I ain't gonna say it was supposed to be. There was a high probability of rain this morning. There was also a high probability of rain last night. That rain, it completely missed us. I mean, it went a different direction. I guess I'm thinking it went east of here. I was looking at the weather radar, and I'm guessing it just went east of here. So, yep, we got zero rain. It would have been fantastic if I got some rain on the front field so that it could push the field back down flat for me so that I have a surface to drill seed on. But as of right now, it's just too dry. This field back here needs some rain on it too. This grass field back here, it needs some rain on it too. The grass is starting to kind of slow down. So, yep, I need to re-fertilize this field before the spring shower starts. So I'll be doing that here later this week. I gotta re-fertilize this field so that when it gets the rain on it, it'll start growing again. But yep, I'll be well, it looks like as of right now, I'll be drilling my seed around Monday, maybe about Monday, because I need that field out front to be flat. Cattle are all standing around, got them a little bit of breakfast. That front field, okay, so I'm actually at a point right now where I'm maybe just willing to take a calculated loss on the front field. Because if I drilled the seed onto this field, right, and it didn't turn out real good, and I had to reseed it, if I reseeded it at 20 pounds an acre, let's say I put that 70 pounds an acre on the field, and it just didn't turn out real good, and I had to reseed it at 20 pounds an acre to get it fixed up, that 20 pounds an acre on 2.5 acres would be $50. And so if I had a horrible situation where I had to reseed my front field because I seeded it and then the rain washed it away, or the weather just made it so that the grass didn't germinate very well, and I had to reseed it at 20 pounds an acre, that front field would cost me $50 to reseed the whole field. And so I may actually just be looking to take a calculated loss here and just go for it anyway. Even if my seed doesn't come out real good and I have to reseed it, worst case scenario, I'd have to pay about $100. And so I may just go ahead and do it. And if it turns out horribly, if my seed just starts, if my seed doesn't germinate, if my seed dies, if there's a lot of the seed just doesn't look good, I can go over it again and reseed the field, and for about $50 to $100. So I may do that because that front field is going to be what these animals eat for practically the next 6-7 months. That front field is going to grow all the forage that these animals eat for about the next 6 months. Well, it ain't going to be all of it, but it's going to be a lot of it. These animals are going to rely heavily on that front field. And so I need to get that front field growing, and I need to get it growing well. So these two of my little bottle cats, they keep trying to get milk off each other. Hey, big boy. They're growing well on solid feed. They look just fine. So I think these two are my Jersey crosses. I think they're Jersey crosses. And so, yep, I got a job that I go to tomorrow. I got a field, a 15-acre field that a man wants me to give him an estimate for. Leave her alone, man. I got a 15-acre field that a man wants to put grass on, and it's right here, just a little bit away. It ain't too far away, so I'm guessing that he's got black clay like me. A lot of the soil around here in this area is black clay, and so I'm guessing he got black clay. And if he has black clay and he has 15 acres and he wants to plant grass on it, I'm the man for the job, right? I can do that, zero problem. And so I gotta go get him an estimate tomorrow. I gotta go do that, and then yep. And then I gotta keep looking to see if I can get this grass planted. I gotta get this grass out front planted here as soon as possible. I've been taking a look at rates. Well, okay, so The whole thing about the economy right now is that inflation is high, rates are high, the economy is doing horrible. We're kind of in a recession. We were in a recession just a little while ago. I mean, things are just going horribly for the economy right now. And so, one of them's got to give, right? Either the interest rate has got to give, or the inflation has got to give. So either we got to start seeing deflation, or we got to start seeing interest rates go down. And if interest rates go down long term, inflation is going to go higher. If interest, like, I don't know if we're ever going to see negative interest rates, but if we do, I mean, that would be well, inflation would go way higher long term. I mean, if interest rates went negative, somebody like me would be sleeping outside in front of a bank in a sleeping bag, asking for a loan every single day. I would be at the bank every day. I wouldn't even come home. I would just sleep there, and I would just ask him, give me money, give me money, give me money every single day. If interest rates go negative, that's what's going to happen. And there are a lot of people like me that will do that as well, and that will cause the economy to inflate. Long term, it will cause the economy to inflate. And so, yeah, but well, I mean, we'll have to see, right? But with rates being where they are, with the inflation being where it's at, the economy is doing horrible. I mean, it's just kind of, and the price of corn is so high too. Why is corn so expensive still? I thought the price of corn was going to drop about this time, but I thought like I guess last year fertilizer prices were so expensive, but the price of corn is still so high. I don't get it. Well, I mean, it may take another year. I mean, fertilizer prices were real high last year, and they planted this year's corn on yesterday's fertilizer supply. So, and last year's diesel cost and all that. So, we may just have a year of high corn here, and so who knows? But corn's extremely expensive right now too. And yeah, but if the price of corn is real high, the price of cattle it's gonna be hard to push the price of heavy cattle up, because a lot of the commercial feed yards rely heavily on corn to feed their animals. So, well, I mean, like where I'm at here in Texas, a lot of people don't get it this good in terms of growing grass. Like here in Texas, if I went and talked to the average farmer, if I went and talked to a decently good farmer, the average person, the decently good farmer could pull 3,000 pounds an acre of Bermuda grass. They could pull 4,000 or 5,000 pounds of an acre of Sudan grass with zero irrigation. And so a lot of people don't get it as good as we do over here in this area that I'm in terms of growing grass. So, well, we need some rain here. I need some rain to get this ground drilled, to get this ground planted. I was taking a look at USDA loans for buying farmland, and the USDA loan for buying farmland, it's a 20 to 40 year loan at less than a 5% interest rate. So so one of my big rules in life, right, is if I'm looking to do something, don't go and look at the people who suck. Okay, if you go and look at the people who suck and you go, oh my God, they can't do it, I can't do it either, you're gonna get stuck in a death loop and you're never gonna get anything done. Go and look at the people who are doing extremely well and ask yourself, what are they doing? How are they doing this? And figure that out. You know, because when I go down just 2 minutes away, when I go half an hour away, and I got and these people got 1,000-acre farms, and these people got 1,500-acre farms. You know, just buying 100 acres. If I bought 100 acres for $1 million, that would be $4,500 a month that they would be paying on that piece of property for a USDA loan under 5% at about 4.5%. So these people with these big old pieces of land, their mortgage payment could be as high as $4,500 for that 100 acres. Their tractors that they're driving around on those pieces of property, the equipment that they're owning and they're operating, those two combined, I mean, and then with the mortgage, they could be paying like $6,000 a month to have that farm, to have that 100-acre farm. And so when I look at those people, they must be making money. my common sense would say these people are making money, and they're probably making a lot of money. And so when I look at those people and I look at what they're doing, there's money in cattle here. Obviously there's money in growing hay in this area. There has to be, or they wouldn't be able to do that. There's so much cattle and there's so much grass grown here in this area. The only way they could do that is if they were making a lot of money. And so my big whole thing is, it's not can I make money on cattle, it's how much money am I going to make. That's my big thing. I just got to figure out how they're doing it, right? I don't like. Are they having their cattle hauled to Kansas? Or what are they doing? Well, how did they get so much land? How did they get so many animals? How did they grow? How did they get such a big tractor? Those are the things that I need to be looking at. Why would I? Got to look at the people who are doing well and ask, what are these people doing? Like, how are they doing this? That's the $1 million question, right? And so, I obviously I can make money doing this, especially in this area. If I go just half an hour out west of here, towards south of Dallas, I'm talking about 1,000-acre silage farms over there. And their grass looks pristine. Their grass looks better than mine. Granted that I have cattle on my grass right now, and I can't fertilize it as much as I would like to. And I didn't drill this seed. I broadcasted it last year just to see what would happen. There were a lot of things that happened that I would be like, oh, I can make my grass look better. But they got like 2,000-acre farms out there, and they're all growing silage. And so, obviously I can make money, right? It ain't a question of can I make money farming. It's a matter of how much money can I make? What can I do to make that money? And so, well, that's the big question. And so, because I'm looking into buying myself a piece of land, I really thought about it, and I was like, you know what? With my tractor that I have right now, with all the equipment that I have right now, I've invested almost like I probably invested, I took a lot of debt to invest in it, but just in terms of flat cash, I've probably invested like $7,000. And then, I took about another probably $8,000 in debt that I still owe. And so if I gotta get this trash bag away from these, hey, leave it alone. So if I get that with this equipment that I have now, I can farm 50 acres, zero problem. I can just take the equipment that I have right now and I can go farm 50 acres with zero problem. But the thing is how am I going to buy that 50 acres, right? And so I need to find the 50 acres that I'm going to farm. That's the big question. And 50 acres, I could be looking at 50 to 75 acres. I could be looking at paying $2,200 a month with current USDA rates. And so my big idea was I need to produce a cash flow here, have some cash reserves, and then I can leverage for the property, use this farm to pay for a good bit of the other farm. I could use my cash my cash deposit or my cash reserves to pay for the land, as well as the excess cash flow that I'd be producing here into purchasing a new piece of land and to paying the debt service for the land until that land is able to pay for itself. Because if I got 50 acres, if I got 75 acres, I could make more money on 75 acres than I could on 10 acres. And I could just use the same exact equipment that I have right now. Maybe I would need to go buy a hydraulic disc plow, but that would be $4,000 or $5,000 for a real big one. And so other than that, I'm pretty much good to go. Maybe I need to buy a new seeder. A seeder would cost about $2,000 to $3,000, but other than that, I'd be about good to go, right? And so, well, I need to go and buy myself a piece of land. I need to go buy myself a piece of land. That's my next big thing. Is I'm gonna go and buy myself a piece of land. Because people are obviously making money on cattle. They're obviously making money on hay. They're obviously making money cash that it would take, the amount of cash flow that it would take to keep something like that operating, and it's a tremendous sum of money. So, yep. And well, in my head, I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna buy a new land, if I'm gonna buy a new piece of land, well, my whole big thing about land. Okay, so I thought about it. I was like, you know, what if I just grew hay, right? Instead of raising cattle, what if I just grew hay and I sold hay for money? That wouldn't exactly be an easy way out either, because there are times when in hay season where like it will rain for like 2 weeks straight, or it'll rain too much, so I won't be able to harvest the hay, and the hay needs to be harvested. If the hay gets too okay, so like if I was looking at a field and there were a bunch of grass seeds everywhere and there were a bunch of grass heads everywhere, the grass had a bunch of seed heads on it, the grass would be too old. The grass wouldn't be any good. Hay of that quality is very, very, very low quality hay. And so, actually grass of this quality is too high of a quality for these cattle. A lot of these cattle are having diarrhea. If I could, I would keep them off of this grass for a couple weeks to let it grow a little bit more, to drop the quality of it so that they have less digestive problems. But if I just hay and I tried to make money on growing hay, there will always be situations where I am unable to harvest that hay because of weather. And if that hay, like let's say I cut a hay crop and all of a sudden something like this happens where the wind blows the rain the other way, it blows it towards us, and that hay crop that I cut gets rained on, well, I'll have to throw that entire crop away. That crop wouldn't be worth anything. And so for me to actually do this and do it proficiently, if I want to grow grass, I also need to be raising cattle. Because okay, let's say I have cattle, right? And let's say my hay needs to be cut. It's at the ripe stage to be cut. Weather is still bad, and or the ground is wet. Something's going on that's making me unable to harvest that hay. I can still cut that hay and then give it to the animals. I can still feed it to the cattle. The cattle will eat it just fine. I don't have to wait for that hay to dry. I don't have to bale that hay or anything. And so I need to have the cattle, because I can produce more the hay. If something's going on where I can't harvest the hay or anything like that, I can still feed it to the cattle, right? I can still feed the cattle. Will still eat it. They'll still put weight on it, and so I don't have to worry about having to throw away a hay crop. Like if I'm in like a situation where I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna have to throw this hay crop away, but this grass is gonna have to be cut right now so that I can bale it, or it's not gonna be worth anything. You know, that would be a horrible situation to be in. Instead of going through that, though, I can just be like, hey man, the weather's gonna be bad this week, and so what I'm gonna do instead is just feed it to my cattle. Instead of waiting for the hay to dry, I'm just gonna cut it and then go feed it to my cattle. And that boom, problem solved, right? And so I need to have both. I need to have the cattle, and if I'm gonna grow grass, I also need to have the cattle. And so, yep, I'll need to do both. So I mean, I'm looking into buying. I think my next big investment, I'm not gonna look into buying anymore. In all honesty, the equipment. I don't really think I'm going to be looking into buying any more equipment. I think I have all the equipment that I need. I'm going to pay off my debts. I got about $8,000 in debt or so on the equipment that I need to pay off. And so I'm going to pay off the equipment, but I think I'm honestly starting to believe that my next big investment will be buying a bigger piece of land. I think I'm going to go into buying a bigger piece of land. Because if I buy a bigger piece of land, well, the amount that I pay per acreage will be lower. I'll have a higher, more cash flow opportunity. I could raise more cattle. I could grow more grass, and I could also develop a sum of equity in the land that I invest in, right? Long term, with rates still being under 5% from the USDA for farm loans, that's phenomenal. with current interest rate markets, that is phenomenal. Being able to go to a bank and still getting a 3.5% interest rate is just, right as of right now, is a tremendous opportunity. And so I'm thinking that I took a good look around at things yesterday, and I was like, you know what, I have all the equipment that I need. If I bought 50 more acres, I could go farm it right now with what I have. I could go right now, just drop my tractor off at that field and just get to it. So, and if I did that, I could just plant this field with Bermuda grass, just plant the permanent pasture back here and call it a day. So, well, but yep, that's what's going on right now. I'm thinking, I am heavily considering that my next investment will be land instead of equipment, because I have all the equipment that I need. But that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.